SC team as they count him down and he's out on course.
A real specialist at this discipline, Bobby Julich, one of the best in the business at the time trial. He's won stages all over Europe and, of course, the United States against the clock.
And we go back to the first rider. Saul Raisin still out on course here. 18.1 total miles make up our championship course here. Raisin still hammering away on the bike.
It's been a long time since Saul raced, and it's great to see him in the saddle again. On the aero bars there, this is a very specialized machine made by Look for the Credit Agricole squad. Everything designed not necessarily for handling, but for aerodynamics.
Bob, when you see Saul scooting back on the bike as he is right now, what does that tell you about his ride?
Well, he may be a little bit uncomfortable, still finding his legs, getting into the rhythm there. Michael Creed out on course. He is doing a good climb so far. This is him sneaking up on the saddle. They call that on the rivet. Saddles used to have a big brass rivet at the front of them just to tie down the leather. Not necessary anymore. They have little staples underneath. But Michael Creed concentrated in that aerodynamic position. It's good to see a time trialist with the discipline to stay in the saddle on the climbs for every little advantage possible.
Michael Creed, one of the young Americans that certainly came here with lofty ambitions. We only had 33 riders taking the start. There were no pretenders out there today, Bob.
Absolutely no pretenders. And Danny Pate, a former world champion at this discipline. That's what the rainbow stripes on his sleeve signify. Under 23 world time trial champion a few years ago, out on course for the Slipstream squad also.
Speaking with Danny Pate's physiologist, Alan Lim, we really understand right now that Pate is on his A game and expecting a huge ride here. As we go back to Timmy Duggan now, completely, distinctly different styles on the bike. Timmy Duggan like a rocket ship now as he bears down on the final 5 miles of racing.
Split time 22 even. That's the fastest time so far. So good ride by the Chipotle Slipstream rider, Tim Duggan, out on course.
And Tyler Hamilton right now, looking like he's laboring just a little bit. Bob, I don't know if anyone suffers more than this man on the bike.
I think laboring a little bit is an understatement. Suffering like an animal, but Tyler not giving up, putting everything into this ride. He doesn't have a lot of chances to race currently because of a lot of political shenanigans, but he's out on course in the USPro Championships.
Yeah, my goodness, Hamilton looks like he is deep, deep in the pain cave right now. As Olympic gold medal doesn't do you much good 3 years later, as he is battling to just keep that aero form, keeping the revolutions high.
Tom Zerbel on the Priority Health squad. He's in the start house as well. He'll be chasing all of these great stars out on course. Let's see how Zerbel can do out on course, Priority Health on those Pinarello time trial machines.
Zerbel coming back after the Tour of California earlier this year. He had a blood clot problem. He tried to come back in the middle of the summer, had another setback at that point, and this is Zerbel's first real race back on the bike since March.
Here is Bobby Julich, one of the best in the business, been a pro for a very long time, a tremendous amount of experience in those legs. Jens Voigt, his teammate on CSC, says he's the most beautiful pedaler in the peloton, so let's see what Bobby can do. Mike Friedman, Team Slipstream Chipotle in the start house also, out on course. A lot of riders from that squad. They love this discipline. Looking forward to racing almost full-time in Europe next year with a few North American events.
And we go back to Saul Raisin. Once again, this was an incredibly inspirational story. At the finish line right now, waiting for him are his mother, Yvonne, Lisa Zabriskie, his fiancée. Saul's going to be married on December 1st, and I think for a lot of people here in Greenville today, it's not just Saul, but all the Saul fans having an incredible experience. Ben Jacquemain setting up for the turn right now. Bob, very interesting course here, over 18.1 miles. They do have to navigate quite a few tricky turns.
Well, you can see the position of these riders very different from the regular road bike, and it makes the corners very difficult because the advantage is aerodynamically speaking on the flat roads, makes the climbs and the curves a lot trickier, but Ben Jacquemain's getting through that corner with aplomb and grace.
A breakthrough season for Jacquemain's this year. We're going back to Timmy Duggan. Once again, all the reports coming in from out on course have Timmy Duggan on a sensational ride right now as he maintains that aerodynamic position. Distinctly different facial expressions coming from Duggan from the other riders that we've been looking at out on course.
Great rhythm set here by Timmy Duggan, and he is suffering. You can tell he's trying to gasp for as much air as possible, but on a very good ride. And there's Danny Pate out of the saddle and just dancing on those pedals, as my British colleagues might say.
So Danny Pate right now looks like he's on a great ride here. Pate looks so focused. He came with lofty ambitions, certainly. And as Danny Pate goes back up out of the saddle, clearly he's gone to the whip.
It's interesting to see the equipment choices. Danny Pate, because of the hills out on course, opting for spoked wheels front and rear. We've seen some of the other riders with a solid disc rear on the back of the machine, but Danny Pate opting for the two deep aero section rims.
At least 15 seconds here, so this is going to go right down to the wire.
And here is Tyler Hamilton finishing up 40.23. That's a good ride by Tyler. Second place, not quite as fast as Timmy Duggan, but that is a very good ride by Tyler Hamilton.
Well, he slayed himself out there today. That number 2 right there, that is Chris Baldwin of the Toyota United team, another rider. He's been training with oxygen back in Boulder, Colorado, trying to simulate what it's going to be like in Greenville, as it really is heavy air here.
Absolutely, a lot of humidity in the air compared to the Rocky Mountains, where it's bone dry most of the year. We're talking about the difference between 8 to 10% and maybe 80 to 90% down here at sea level.
Bobby Julich now into the final few hundred meters. He's across the line. Julich now at second. Boy, you start to look at that time from Timmy Duggan, it's holding up.
Timmy Duggan doing a great ride, holding off the likes of Bobby Julich there at the finish line. Dave Zabriskie out on course. Danny Pate is yet to finish with Chris Baldwin, but this man has set all the fastest checks so far out on course. Seems to be struggling a little bit right now, rocking a bit. You don't oftentimes see that from Dave Zabriskie. Maybe the lack of having the voice in his ear telling him his pace might have been affecting him a little bit in the finale of this race.
And a charge coming from Danny Pate right now. It looks like he will go inside the time of Timmy Duggan. However, it is Slipstream Chipotle, the gold and the silver standard right now.
Great ride by Pate, 39.35, currently first, sweeping away all of the previous times. Fantastic ride by Danny
defend
Pate.
His title.
Dave Zabriskie, 1 kilometer to go. He's got to put everything he has left into this last K to defend that Stars and Stripes jersey as national champion.
Describe the feeling that Zabriskie has right now. I mean, the legs must be pooled with lactic acid.
Legs are screaming, but the mind is asking him to go just a little bit harder. Mike Friedman coming to the line, currently 7th, 40.36. Not a bad time for the other Slipstream Chipotle rider.
Well, Mike Friedman has really had a strong comeback here, and it looks like he'll hold on to a top 10 position no matter what happens. If we go back to Zabriskie, this is it right here as he's into the final 500 meters, burying himself. The accelerator is duct taped to the floorboard right now. We're going to see what he's got left in the tank.
He's been in this position a few times before, chasing the likes of Lance Armstrong in the Tour a few years ago when he won stage number 1's time trial to Noir Moutier by just 1 slim second over Lance Armstrong. Let's see what Dave Zabriskie can do. Really suffering now. He's got to get to the line as quickly as he can, and that is all he has left.
Boy, that is an image that shows you right here exactly what it takes. You've got to be willing to utterly bury yourself. We're now watching Chris Baldwin. Baldwin, the second rider from the last to start here, and it looks like he will hold off Zabriskie, his 3-minute man, as they went to 3-minute intervals for the final 10 riders to start. So Baldwin is through. He'll finish at 7th. That probably won't hold up for 7th. He should get bumped down to 8th because here's Zabriskie into the finale.
200 meters to go for Dave Zabriskie. He can see the finish line now. He's got to give it everything he has. It's going to be very close between he and Danny Pate.
And Zabriskie all the way at the limit. You can see the effort on his face as he makes his way into the final few meters. He's going to jump up out of the saddle, giving it full gas, and Zabriskie does it. He defends.
1 second advantage over Danny Pate. What a great ride by Zabriskie. Maybe that lunge to the line was the difference.
Yeah, 1 second, and we actually had to round to that.
Timmy Duggan in third. What a great ride by the young man on the Slipstream Chipotle squad, and there's your podium. Dave Zabriskie defends his title, USPro champion, in the time trial again.
It was an incredible day of racing here at the Cliffs Community. Dave Zabriskie defends his championship, and obviously a breakthrough performance from Timothy Duggan. I have to say, Pate confirms, and we're going to hear a word from Dave.
My own instincts, I didn't wear radio again this year. I thought I was doing really well, and then I heard the announcer coming into the finish that he needs to finish within 2 seconds, and I sprinted and barely won.